Hello and welcome back. In this part of the adventure, we will be checking out a crash pad for a very famous house guest here in Edinburgh. And if you stick around till the end, there's something pretty cool we want to show you. We are picking up our journey at the north end of the Rodney Street Tunnel on Warriston Path, heading towards Warriston and St. Mark's Park. But first, we'd like to take you on a slight detour down Warriston Crescent to find a temporary home of none other than the great composer Frederic Chopin. In the spring of 1848, when the French Revolution broke out and the monarchy was overthrown, many aristocrats fled from Paris to London. For Chopin, this meant tragedy. Now, you'd think a name like Chopin would have a hefty nest egg to support him until this all blew over, but that wasn't the case at all. Not one to save his money and fresh off a split from his long-term girlfriend, with his health steadily declining thanks to tuberculosis, times were bleak. Luckily for Chopin, he had a great admirer and student named Jane Stirling. Jane was the daughter of a Scottish nobleman who, unfortunately, lost her parents in her teens. The youngest of 13 children, she was placed in the care of her much older sister, Catherine Erskine, who was a devout Protestant, but we'll get back to that in a bit. These women are who Chopin would refer to as his Scottish ladies. Jane gave Chopin an offer that he really couldn't refuse. She proposed that he come to London with her, where he can be reunited with the French monarchy, his pupils from Paris, and perform for large audiences in aristocratic homes alike. Things seemed to start off well. Just as promised, he found new pupils, reunited with his friends in the French monarchy, and performed a few concerts. But with summer's arrival, most of the upper class headed off to their country homes and left Chopin behind. With the London fog exasperating his tuberculosis-ridden lungs, it was time for him to make a move. Jane and her sister booked a train to Edinburgh, where they thoughtfully arranged for a homeopathic doctor friend to house Chopin while he was in Scotland. After a 12-hour journey, today about 5, they arrived and met fellow Polish exile Dr. Adam Lisens, who would treat and accommodate him here at 10 Warriston Crescent. He was granted the nursery in a small bedroom on the first floor. Lisens observed a few of Chopin's idiosyncrasies, including a penchant for extensive primping. He said, his hair was curled every day by the servant, and his shirt, boots, and other things were of the neatest. In fact, he was a petite maître, more vain in dress than any woman. I won't get into the frightful details of a horse carriage accident he suffered while here, or a failed Manchester performance that deeply upset him, or the fact that Jane and her sister had carted the ailing Chopin all around Scotland on very primitive roads to introduce him to their friends and family. You see, Chopin spoke only French and Polish, his native language. So after all this travel, he'd rarely be able to communicate with the Scots he visited. He wrote about the language barrier on these trips, that he was only able to watch them talk and listen to them drink. On October 4th, 1848, Chopin performed at the Hopetown Rooms here in Edinburgh. It was a unique occasion because not only was he the only artist performing, but that he played for nearly 2 hours. He played 15 pieces, including multiple encores, which is pretty impressive for a barely 90-pound dying man. Chopin received some of the best reviews of his career from this night. It was appreciated by a room filled with connoisseurs and considered by many to be his last true great performance, his swan song. Sadly, from there things went downhill. After the Hopetown concert, he returned to Calder House, where Jane's sister Catherine, the devout Protestant I mentioned earlier, tried tirelessly to convert him. With his health steadily worsening, he was being driven absolutely mad by the women. He complained, "My Scottish ladies won't leave me in peace and keep coming to fetch me and drive me round their family." Some believe Stirling hoped to become Chopin's wife, but her feelings were not reciprocated. The composer, who had dedicated 2 nocturnes to Stirling, wrote in a letter to a friend, "I am closer to a coffin than to a marital bed." Chopin left Scotland for London on October 31st before heading back to Paris at the end of November. It wasn't until the following year that on October 17th, after midnight, his physician leaned over to him lying on his deathbed and asked whether he was suffering greatly. "No longer," he replied. He died just before 2 o'clock in the morning, aged 39. Sterling was among those at his bedside. He was buried in Père-Lachaise Cemetery in Paris, with Jane and her sister covering all of the funeral expenses. Edinburgh's Polish community placed this plaque honoring Chopin on the front of the house in 1948 on the centennial of his last visit to Scotland. As they say, though, from death comes new life, and Chopin was certainly not the only famous name to grace these parts. Just 2 years after Chopin left town, a new baby arrived at 8 Howard Place. His name was Robert Louis Stevenson, the author of works such as Treasure Island and The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Join us next time for a surprising Hollywood connection and some nudity. Also, if you like this video and you'd like to see more, Nacho would like you to boop that subscribe button and like this video. Thank you!